Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Light Kick. Yay!
First take.
Uh-huh. These are my boys, my brethrens. They've been here to join me. I'm your host, Michael Asiffo, here with the other three hosts. To my immediate right of the camera, we've got the lovely, talented. Sorry?
Pedants over here.
Right? I was gonna introduce David Aga Bouvet.
You're African, man, so that's racist. And
all right.
We
all right.
to you.
Right.
Let's let a professional take charge. Jeez.
Please, Stefano, do your thing.
Yeah.
Mike, over here, my friend who has not composed an introduction in years, he's rusty. We will think that the cap that he borrowed directly from Spinelli from Disney's Recess is constricting blood flow to his brain. Given that, this is Michael Asiffo, current MMA fighter, former broadcaster for the Fan 590, and
hey, I actually worked at that one. Good job.
Thank you. Mike, say hi to the good people.
Hello, good people. I'm dressed like this because I'm going to a poetry slam later. I'm going to be doing a lot of snapping.
Mike, later at the poetry slam, it's going to be like, and that's why history of man is too much his story and not enough her story.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Directly above him, recent import from an 80s good cop, bad cop movie, discount chocolate Steve McQueen, Jeremy, former NCAA football player, current boxing analyst, and a man who looks like he's lost a few pounds since the last time I saw him, at least. Jeremy, say hi to the good people.
Who's Steve McQueen? Hi, good people.
Jeremy, if you don't know who Steve McQueen is, look it up and then enjoy lots of 80s propaganda. I love that word, propaganda.
This guy's supposed to be the professional. Anyway.
Yeah.
And below him, he looks like he is filming a B cut for the movie The Island, which surprisingly is done by what's his name, the explosions guy, Transformers. Anyways, it'll come to me. Michael Bay, yeah. I say that because of all that. Well, you guys have never seen The Island. Never mind. He is our diversity hire. He is a member of the Nigerian Association for Women's Liberation, and all-around good guy, David.
Hello.
The good people.
Hello, everyone.
And finally, it's me, your white savior, who rescued you from Mike's terrible intro. Stefano. Hosko.
Man, I should have called those guys from Harlem to deal with you.
They have phones in Harlem.
yes, they do. It's not
they have to go back home. Oh, Mike called.
Michael's he's technically part of the Nation of Islam, so I wouldn't mess with it.
That's true. He's gonna send Malcolm X and the guys after me. I'm gonna get home. Those Harlem guys that Mike went to send me are gonna get home. They'll be like, hold on. Mike called.
Oh my God!
We're not doing that to Harlem. Harlem is a bustling metropolis. Jeez.
There are parts of Harlem that are actually quite nice. I'm not gonna lie. But the Bronx, I mean, Jesus. Well, there's not much to say about the Bronx other than don't go there. Guys, we have lots of news to delve into. We have a great fight card we're coming off of, and I personally am excited to dive into you with my brothers over here. And like Denzel Curry once said, even if you leave the cul-de-sac, your brother's going to have your back.
Only white suburban kids. Go off.
Mike, do you want to get us started with some news, my friend, and a little spicy transition?
All right, everybody. Transition.
Let's get into the news and views of the week.
All right, Stefano, what you got for us today?
Well, what do I have for you guys? I don't know if we mentioned it last week because I was not there, but we have the retirement of both Carlos Condit and Joseph Benavidez.
Mm-hmm. Happy trails, guys. They'll be sorely missed.
Yeah, both two fighters that got, fought well past their expiration date, but in their heyday were incredibly relevant figures. I remember Carlos Condit giving George St. Pierre absolute hell when he returned from his ACL surgery and knocked him down with a combination that he became famous for, later adopted by TJ Dillashaw, that jab cross head kick over the same side head kick off of the cross, and just dropped George in the third or fourth round. Had one of the best fights of all time with Robbie Lawler, and just a man who always brought it and kind of hovered around the top echelon of the division long past what a lot of people would have expected. Former WEC champ, which was saying something back in the day. And Joseph Benavidez, man, if not for the existence of Demetrius Johnson, someone who could have been a champ, holds a win over Henry Cejudo. Great wrestler, pioneered that alpha male style of guillotines, overhand rights, and a lights out double leg. And anything for you guys to add?
Yeah. With Joseph Benavidez, it's just a shame he couldn't win that big one with the UFC championship. Because, in my opinion, when you look at his body of work, first ballot Hall of Famer. I think a lot of people understand with Carlos Condit, first ballot Hall of Famer. If there was an MMA Hall of Fame, it's technically just a UFC Hall of Fame, which I think we'll get into in the rest of the things, right?
Don't forget Pride. Don't forget Pride.
And Pride Hall of Fame, but I think, unfortunately, because there is a UFC Hall of Fame and not necessarily an official MMA Hall of Fame, you might forget guys like Joseph Benavidez who did things outside the promotion and inside the promotion, mind you, but just never won the big one in the promotion, and unfortunately won't be recognized, or the fans won't recognize him. But this is a guy I think is criminally undervalued and underrated, in my opinion. I think part of that is also that the flyweights is just now getting its due, but yeah.
Well said, Mike. So we wish you guys a happy retirement on the golf course, and thank you for a great career. Or Carlos Condit, I guess, the shooting range, because every promotional footage of him ever is him going out into the desert shooting guns. So have fun in Albuquerque. Next up, rebooked matchup, and we have some interesting non-matchup related news coming as well, and I expect Mike is going to want to have a say in this one. But rebooked Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez. I think we all expected this one was going to happen. Rebooked for November 13th. Guys, level of excitement for this one. What do you think?
Sorry?
8 out of 10. I said 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
I think it's good. I feel like Holloway definitely has the advantage in this one, in my opinion. Yair still has a lot to prove, in my humble opinion, when it comes to the octagon. Max Holloway has pretty much beaten up everyone but Volkanovski, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
And arguably beat Volkanovski in that second fight a lot of people.
Arguably, yeah. Although I think I had it for Volkanovski in that one, honestly.
It was a close fight,
though. But yeah, and that's no shame to that. So I really think if Yair gets through this, he's gonna get the next title shot. So power to him. But if not, it's gonna be Max versus Volkanovski.
Yeah, certainly worth a rewatch too. Jeremy, initial impressions, my friend. What do you think? I know these are both very action-packed fighters. I feel like this is a difficult one to get wrong.
I like Max Holloway ever since that nice performance he had with the display of head movement. So I would say any fight that he's in, I'm excited to watch. Don't know too much about the other guy, but I don't know. What do you guys think are his chances against Max Holloway?
Jeremy, can you wait? Hold on. Can you just tilt your camera down a little bit because your face is kind of cropped out? Perfect.
Yeah. I will say this. Sorry, Stefano, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say against Max Holloway, don't rate many people's chances very well. Not to say that Yair's not incredibly dangerous. He's flashy. He's a big fan of a lot of spinning kicks and someone who's dangerous up until the last seconds of the fight, like we saw in the Korean Zombie fight where he knocked him out with that weird back elbow. He's got a very different guard as well, kind of like a very classically trained guard. Attacks a good Ashigarami as well to force the stand up. Not the best wrestling in the world, but Max is going to have to be on his toes, and it might take him a round or two to find the timing, but I do think Max is going to overwhelm him, kind of like a tidal wave over the course of the fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the secret for Yair is if you're going to use the kicks, use them linearly. So like, just because Max is a good wrestler, and we've seen when he does go to it, he's not bad, but he's not necessarily like Frankie Edgar. So I think you can get away with pumping out a lot of straight teeps, a lot of push kicks to the face, a lot of scissor kicks, stuff linearly to kind of keep Max at bay every once in a while. I think that's going to be a secret for Yair, which he has proven he can do. He can be fundamental. We have seen it. But I don't think that I don't think that's how Yair's going to do. And I think Max anyway would have won. I think that's just kind of like, if you want to stymie him, that's what I would say to do. But alas, I think Yair's chances, I guess if I were to rate it out of 10, I'd say somewhere around the 4 or 5. 4 or 5.
Right on. Next matchup that's been announced, I suspect we'll go over this one kind of quickly. Ricky Simon versus Rafael Assunção. Don't mind it. Good fight. Assunção taking a bit of a step back lately. One more, and this one is kind of breaking news. Aljamain Sterling out with an injury for his title fight with Petr Yan, and it looks like we're working on Corey Sandhagen to step in. And before we give our initial thoughts on this one, I just want to say that while I am sad for Aljo and disappointed that he's not going to be able to make the matchup, TJ Dillashaw wasn't able to make it because he's in the process of knee surgery.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see every iteration of title contenders that this division can offer. I want to see Sandhagen in a title matchup. I want to see Petr Yan facing him. I also want to see the Aljo rematch. You know, I want to see Aljo face Dominic Cruz. I want to see well, maybe not Dominic Cruz. Sorry, I misspoke. But I want to see Merab Dvalishvili.
Come on, what is this? 2015? Okay.
You're right. I'll pull back on the Dominic Cruz one. But there's so many exciting.
Dvalishvili, like there's a lot of guys.
Dvalishvili, Sugar Sean O'Malley. Yeah, this is a division where you really can't go wrong with
Jose Aldo. Like,
exactly. And I don't want to be in a situation where it's 10 years down the road and we're like, man, I really wish George St. Pierre fought Robbie Lawler. You know what I mean? So, thoughts, guys?
I'll say this. Pierre has already.
Wait, sorry. What's the injury?
It's neck, and he's had surgery on his neck before. He's had really
neck issues. So,
which someone who's had much more minor neck issues than him, I really feel awful for him because it's debilitating, man.
Are you asking about our thoughts on the injury, or are you asking on his thoughts on this whole situation?
Anything, man. Anything.
Well,
any input.
Let me just say this. I saw Petr Yan already taken to Twitter to be, dismissive and call Aljo a coward. And, considering the fact that the second fight was going to go the way it went, there's going to be a lot of casual fans who are going to, take his side. But let's not forget that Petr Yan pulled out of the first Aljo matchup because of, and I quote, personal reasons. Right? People forget that. So when Petr Yan goes to his computer and is talking shit, just remember that you have a pullout too. Okay? And I think that shit happens. We all
like I like to think all of us have a pullout, or else we'd be fathers. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Of course. But you know what? I just think that a lot of times MMA fighters especially are the kings of this. They forget history and they forget context just to try to talk shit on Twitter to get themselves some buzz. And it's like, yo, stop being an idiot. This is why you get no buzz. Because everyone sees you're an idiot. Everyone sees it's contrived. So when Petr Yan goes to his computer, just remember, people can say you left for personal reasons.
Yeah, I ain't got really much to say about Petr Yan doing that. I think he's well within his right to call out Aljo on it, based on how the first fight went, how it ended. This is his title. He probably feels like some kind of ownership of it. So I get it. My question is this going to be an interim fight then between Jan and Sandhagen, who, by the way, I love Sandhagen, but is he really the rightful #1 contender at this point?
You're on mute, big dog.
Yes.
I am a tech boomer. I'm with you, David, where I don't think he necessarily is the #1 contender, especially coming off a loss, questionable as it may be. But anyone else who might be ahead of him in line, currently occupied. Merab Dvalishvili just came off a...
We need to talk about that, please.
Oh, we will. Oh, we will. We got a couple more news points.
You know what? I'm going to say my thought right now because...
Wait, no. Hold on. We got a couple more news things we got to go through. Hold on. For the sake of organization, I think there are people ahead of him, but they're not ready to step in at the moment. And so he's kind of your de facto, chosen person. I don't hate him being in a title picture, is all I'll say, even if he's not the one.
Yeah. Plus, you know what? I will say this. I went back and watched the TJ versus Corey fight, and you could really make an argument that Corey won that 5th round.
Yeah.
Right? So
I think Mike, we watched that fight together, and I think after it, we're all like, I would not be disappointed if they gave the nod to either of them.
Yeah. So because of that, I think what you could make an argument is that it's a Jose Aldo situation all over again, right? It's like you can make an argument he beat you. Remember when Marlon Moraes and Jose Aldo had that fight and Marlon Moraes won, but you can make the argument Jose Aldo should have won, and therefore he should probably get the shot against Peter Yan for the vacant title. I think this is that part too, where it's like, you can make an argument Corey should have won, and TJ was probably going to get the title shot, especially since Corey Sandhagen was on a run, and therefore, here's the interim title. Like, you get what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah.
Right? So, let's not say like, oh, it's just a fun matchup. No, there is some legitimacy.
Sure. I think we all think that Corey Sandhagen was going to find his way into a title picture at some point, right? So 2 more pieces of news. Now, first of all, is one championship related. Now, we could get into the card on the weekend about one championship, which is not what I want to talk about right now, but it wasn't half bad. Buchecha ended up winning his MMA debut by North-South choke, like it. Christian Lee ended up losing his title in a controversial fight against Okrayun. Good, There were some good, notable things to discuss.
I like Christian Lee, too. Sick.
Yeah, I also like Okrayun as well. I thought he put on a very spirited performance against Eddie Alvarez. But what I want to talk about is the card in December that One Championship's putting on, which is some of the good stuff. This is what you need as a promotion like One Championship to get ahead. Throw everything in the kitchen sink at us. And my God, they did. And they threw some classic Japanese weirdness at us.
I love it. Let's go.
So we have Demetrius Johnson versus Rod Tang. That's right. I said Rod Tang. Now, 1 round MMA. Sorry, 1 round Muay Thai. 1 round MMA. 1 round Muay Thai. 1 round MMA.
What?
Yeah. It's not a premier Muay Thai bout. It is. If you'll recall,
I saw the headline that it was some weird,
mixed rules. It's fucking stupid. Yeah, it's stupid.
I love that,
it's
though.
dumb.
I love that,
yeah, they did something similar with Shin Aoki. I don't know if you guys will remember where.
I was about to just bring that up. Shin Aoki fought some other, I can't remember, but Shin Aoki basically took every chance he could to lie on the floor.
Yeah, it was like a mixed rules bout. I think they did 3 rounds kickboxing, 3 rounds MMA. This was back in like 2011 or something, 2012 when I first started training, and I was a big Aoki fan. And the 3 rounds of kickboxing.
That wasn't One Championship, was it? It was
no. This was like Dream or something. This was some Japanese promotion. And Aoki, in the first 3 rounds of kickboxing, because his striking is god awful, he literally just threw flying kicks and lay on the floor as much as he could to burn out the clock in the kickboxing round. And this kickboxer, pretty credentialed Japanese kickboxer, I forget his name, but he used to come out to the ring and drag every one of his fights. Hilarious. And they'd be like, why do you do that? He's like, well, every one of my favorite anime characters is female, and I'm just cosplaying. So after like wasting the clock for 3 rounds, Aoki comes out for the MMA rounds and just gets starched immediately. But there's a little anecdote about mixed rules bouts like that.
So what you're saying is Rodtang will win sometime in the Muay Thai rounds. Got it. Okay.
No, I think Demetrius Johnson murders him in the MMA round.
As soon as it's like it's a wrap. Like,
Yeah.
Like Rodtang is not, like, to be honest, the most sophisticated. Like,
no,
he's got some hard hands and a hard head, and Demetrius Johnson can dance him around him for a round and then put him on his back quite easily in the second. You know?
Yeah, no, that's true. I like Rodtang too, and that's the sad. But this is fun. This is fun. Why not?
It's fun. It's stupid and fun.
Yeah. In fact, they might as well just get rid of the
boardroom.
What's that?
He just came into the boardroom and just came up with this discussion, with this idea, or is there like some incentive behind doing some weird stuff like this?
Money.
I mean,
how many times you see on Instagram Rodtang's like highlight where he takes 3 punches to the face and then starts doing this? Like
one championship doesn't stop.
Why would this make more money? Why would this make more money? Are they trying to benefit one fighter than the other? Why does this make more money than a regular?
No, the thing is, like,
when you think about MMA promotion, you got to think of it as they're promoting a league, right? They're not trying to promote the fighter. They're promoting the league. And what they're doing is they're capping off of this little star power that Rodtang had and this established star power that Demetrius Johnson has to get eyes watching TNT when one championship puts on TNT December, what is it, 22nd? So that's what I'm thinking. That's it.
DJ's a name. He's nearing the end of his career, and they want to get the biggest possible fights out of him. Now, does a rematch with the gentleman who beat him at 125 really say biggest possible fight? Maybe. Not necessarily. I don't know. But like a fight with Rodtang, that's fireworks. And that's something that one social media people can clip together and post for the next 15 years on their social media.
Yeah,
you know?
the videos for that are going to be ridiculous. Like somebody is going to have an aneurysm promoting that. Like it's going to be intense.
Now, not to sound like an infomercial salesman, but wait, there's more. So there's also a title fight between John Lineker and Bibiano Fernandez on the card. Bibiano Fernandez, longtime training partner of DJ, 135 title holder, one championship. And it's funny because these belts don't really get contested very often in one championship. Like the guy that Demetrius Johnson hadn't fought in like 3 years or something, you know?
Looked a little big for 125 in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. So they're dusting off the 35-pound belt, and they finally got a contender for Bibiano Fernandez. Okay, and then this is one that I'm really excited about. On featherweight title, Thon Lee versus Gary Tonin at 145.
Oh, wow.
For those of you uninitiated, Thon Lee recently knocked out what's his name? Martin Nguyen for the 145-pound title. Fun striker, and Gary Tonin of Danaher Death Squad fame. One of the better jiu-jitsu guys
you mean to tell me that in the last year, every time that I was bringing ONE FC up and you were absolutely ripping me apart, you've been watching the cards as well?
Yes.
Wow, this guy, man.
I mean, if there's a good fight, I'll watch a good fight, right? But I mean,
I see your true colors.
I maintain that they're like my 4th favorite MMA promotion, 4th or 5th to watch, behind PFL, Bellator, UFC.
And depending on the day, Ryzen, right?
No, always Ryzen. Which brings me to our next point. We might have an alternative. Now, I'm not sure about exactly how viable this is, but it was reported on by Ariel Helwani. So I am interested to see how far this can go. There's yet to be any announcements on who's actually. They did recently announce that one of the backer people from Karate Combat and some other CEO is backing this promotion. But there's a new kid on the block. I don't know how successful they're going to be, but the World Fighting League MMA promotion apparently has some industry backers behind them, some wealthy backers. From what I hear, reported on by Ariel Helwani, so you know it's got to be legit. And they're going to structure their promotion like for the professional sports leagues with a 50-50 revenue split, unionization, and all the things we've been, screaming into the void about.
Yeah.
The problem is just such a long road to beating the UFC or surpassing the UFC. or even competing. Like, forget surpassing. Like, for a while, we were like, oh, yeah, Bellator's kind of competing. No, like, the UFC has kind of created a monopoly on mixed martial arts as of right now. So while I'm excited that, there's fresh blood, but I just think, unfortunately, it's going to take at least 3 to 5 years of, like, consistent, like, getting the best fighters, putting on good events, getting high PPV numbers.
I'm with David. Cautious optimism.
Yeah, I'm with him too. But I will say this: in the past I would have agreed with you until, and I'm gonna bring up pro wrestling. I know, roll your eyes, but until the WWE had competition with AEW, right? Think about what
WWE doesn't
the UFC
have
needs.
competition with AEW. Like, for real, like, really?
Hold on. Is WWE getting more views? Is WWE getting more eyes on the promotion? Is WWE got more money bringing in, more revenue brought in? Sure. But the AEW is a viable place where other guys can go and make money. And what does AEW have? They got an owner who's just as rich. They got a TV deal that is just as viable. And they got an attractive selling point of, if you come here, you will have your voice respected, you will have your sanity respected, and you will have less days, right?
Sounding like a real idealist now, Mike.
No, but what I'm trying to say is, if the WFL...
I just want to let the listeners know that you're biased because you love CM Punk and you're just excited that he finally has a job again.
Yeah.
No, but like what I'm trying to say is, oh,
go on.
All right. Finish. Sorry.
No, finish what you're saying.
What I'm trying to say is, if the WFL can get a good TV deal, has apparently wealthy industry backers who are willing to put money in this thing, and have the attractive selling point of, we will let you have sponsors, we will pay you 50-50. I think you can get a lot of guys to jump ship. And if you jump ship, I'm not saying 2023 immediately. I'm not even saying 2024. But at some point, you're going to get guys. Like, I think I just don't. Now, look, there's a lot of things wrong with that announcement. The home and away thing was, there are some things. The logo didn't look as appealing to me as it should have. But I think just to dismiss it as, okay, it's going to take a long ass time. No, I'm not with that. I think it can be a very viable promotion if they say what they say is true,
Yeah, if I could offer 2 possible scenarios, 2 possible timelines in which this promotion works and fails, and kind of speculate as to why. Let's say this promotion works. What we're going to need: wealthy financial backers or investors, credibility, and fighters jumping ship. If you want fighters to jump ship, you're going to have to offer them conditions that are going to facilitate a prosperous career and credibility, right? So if you put some of those, 50-50 revenue split and all that stuff in place, you'll entice fighters. If you have the money to do it, you'll entice fighters as well. And if that's the case, you will do one of 2 things: either be successful or force the UFC to completely restructure in a way that makes them enticing. Now, I'm posing that as like a hypothetical scenario, right? Crazier things have happened. Now, in a world where this promotion fails, I see there's a lot of hype around it. Not much fizzles out. The people who are promised to be backing this promotion are not as special or wealthy as they have announced. And you know what? I'm suspecting that might be the case, because the first person they announced was somebody from like Karate Combat. It's like, okay, that's like D-tier MMA promotions. But
also, I just want to, like, even if you are wealthy, like, how much money are you willing to lose? Because you're not making money, like, at least in the first few years. Like, even UFC didn't make money in the first few years. Like, they didn't just get you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna take time.
There's no room for a new kid on the block. You already got football on Sundays and Thursdays. You got all this stuff in the way. It's gonna be so hard for a new kid on the block to be successful. Like,
okay, so let me reel you this. WWE has Monday, right? And the NBA has Wednesday, right? And football has Monday, Sunday, Thursday. The UFC has made it clear that Saturday is open. I can see a world where on Sunday this WFL can make WFL their day.
Or they're gonna have to fight for Saturday.
So like my point is not to necessarily say like I do
see go international.
Huh?
I feel like you gotta go international.
No, but like my point is this. I can see, look, while I agree with everybody, I'm just saying I can see a world where if they do all the right things and they plan themselves out, this can be a viable, not necessarily one-for-one competition, but a viable place for people to jump ship. I can really see it.
I can see it, at least in the early stages, it could be kind of like ONE FC, Bellator, where fighters who are perhaps not as competitive in the UFC anymore find like a not a soft landing spot, but a nice, not victory lap. I'm trying to think of a very respectful word, but a place where they can like showcase their skills. I can see that. Kind of
like a farm team where younger talent and older talent go, and it's somewhat of a draw. Let's keep in mind, especially in the financial backer part, Bellator is backed by Viacom and Showtime, right? Yeah. Those are not small industry names. So I think
they might even be bigger than the UFC. Not might. They are. Viacom is bigger than the UFC.
Exactly. So I think money alone won't do it. You have to incentivize fighters and consumers, right? And I think this whole home and away bullshit, it has to be done away with. It's too complicated. PFL hits a nice intersection where it's different, right? Not too complicated, but I think generally the public's tastes are for combat sports are fairly conventional, and all the other weird experiments have.
Yeah, I can see a mix between like PFL and ONE FC working, where you have like almost like a tiered system and people like fighting. What like those Mortal Kombat tiers that you fight through.
Oh yeah, the towers.
The towers. Yeah. I could see something like that working. And also you have one-off freak events as well, just to bring eyes on the sport, because without
Lions flood the octagon and have battles.
They might have to beat a bear and just get Khabib to wrestle it. Like that might be like one of their PPVs. You never know.
Man, no. Look,
Jeremy will dress up in a fursuit and play the black bear if that's what. That's what you're.
Hey, was that racial? I don't know.
Yeah. Why you gotta go there, man?
Yeah, sorry, African bear. I'm sorry.
An African American bear. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, we have fights to talk about.
We got a lot of fights to talk about. We're like 30 minutes.
Boxing news.
So does that mean transition?
I can't believe we didn't talk about John Jones, but okay, transition.
Oh yeah, John Jones arrested again for
let's say a little thing. John Jones, his fight got inducted to the Hall of Fame. He's looking beefier. He was in good spirits, and then 12 hours later got arrested. Ho hum. It's the same thing. He always does this. Okay. Transition into boxing news.
Yeah, let's transition.
Boxing. Like Daniel Cormier said, John Jones, get your shit together. Seriously, man, get your shit together.
No,
wait, boxing. You mean MMA news?
Boxing news, because we had a big fight and we gotta talk about it, and then we'll go to the card. I know, lots of shit to get to.
10 minutes maximum. 10 minutes maximum.
Jerry, I think it's gonna be 5 minutes. Boxing news in 3, 2, 1. Transition.
Wow. What a week of boxing we get to talk about today.
On Saturday, September 25th, Oleksandr Usyk pulls off the upset, defeating Anthony Joshua on the cards, which most boxing analysts said would happen if Oleksandr Usyk were to beat Joshua. But this was a big upset. We were expecting Joshua to get the finish against a much smaller man, much lighter man, and it didn't happen. And before we talk about AJ, guys, what does this mean for Oleksandr Usyk, who is already on the pound for pound top list? What does this mean for his career, guys?
Wait, what? He's
the pound for pound.
He was already
on Ukraine. It means Ukraine has another star. Slava Ukraine. Slava Nazi.
It was a big weekend for the Eastern Europeans, for sure.
Yeah, well, I would say this is that Joshua was this close to fighting Fury, if not for legal things. So I think Usyk can now call his shot. He's got all the belts except for the WBC. He can say, winner of Fury versus Wilder, let's go. He can say, Dillian White, where you at? He can say, hi, Andy Ruiz. He can call his shot.
Okay, I just want to say this because as somebody who's currently living in the UK, I cannot stress how big a star Anthony Joshua is here. He's literally on, like, like bottles. Like, they put his face on bottles. They put his face on, like, shampoos. Like, he's on every, like, 3 or 4 different commercials. He's huge.
And I'm guessing Tyson Fury is not as big.
No, he's really not. Like, no disrespect, but, like, everybody knows, like, Tyson Fury is probably definitely the best boxer, heavyweight boxer out there right now. But like Anthony Joshua's star is massive. So I think like this win definitely is going to improve Usyk's star quality. But at the same time, with all due respect, I feel like, I don't know if he's ready to just start like dictating who he gets to fight. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like once he's probably going to have I would think he would have some mandatories to get over first. I think there's going to be a rematch that happens as well first. But yeah, like I think there's definitely going to be a rematch because there's too much money involved.
Well, I think the whole thing is that if you're Tyson Fury, right, you want to be as big a star as Anthony Joshua, and I don't think it's going to happen because here's the thing about Anthony Joshua: the kid looks good, he talks well, he doesn't get himself into trouble.
He's not homophobic.
He's not homophobic. He's a hero story. He's from like what, South London. He used to be a bricklayer. Like, man, he's black.
Great story.
Good looking too. Let's not forget that. That definitely helps out.
Yeah, too bad. Yeah, too bad he can't box.
Sorry.
If you were to look at Anthony Joshua's resume, Olympic gold medalist, beat a Klitschko, Povetkin, White, Parker, Andy Ruiz.
I was saying that tongue in cheek, but
oh, okay, sorry, my bad.
I was saying tongue in cheek, but
r/whoosh.
Whoosh, Mike, whoosh.
Yeah, no, Anthony Joshua is definitely palatable. Anthony Joshua is better for boxing than Oleksandr Usyk, but David, what was your like point about saying that? About saying he's on bottles and stuff?
No, my point is that, like, you know how, like, it would be like saying because Conor McGregor lost to Dustin Poirier, that Dustin Poirier now gets to call the shot. Like, no, it's still Conor McGregor. You know what I mean? Like, he still has the star power.
Right.
If he wants to have a rematch, he's going to have
I hear that.
Anthony Joshua still gets to call shots, even though he has no belts. That is
my point I'm trying to make is that because in terms of just straight up competition, Usyk has literally every other world recognized belt. Literally every other, right? Except for one, the WBC.
I think
Usyk
should be in the top 5 pound for pound list. He was already in the top 10. I think he should. Who's number 1? Canelo? Because Usyk was undisputed at cruiserweight, and now he's close to getting all the belts at heavyweight. I don't think he'll beat Fury, but yeah, I mean, I think Usyk deserves his props. I think he 100% deserves his props.
What I would say about Usyk is, having watched the fights a couple of times, watching it live in a bar in the UK. First of all, nobody could believe what was going on. You had people from all walks of life coming to that bar to watch the fight, and we were all in shock. I was maybe a little bit too much in shock, but yeah, Usyk is probably one of the more skilled fighters in that size range that I've watched in a long time. And honestly, I think like that's what gave him the edge over Joshua.
Doesn't hurt that he's a southpaw too. Doesn't hurt
that he's a southpaw, which I think also gave Joshua a lot of problems. Like it gave him a lot of problems.
Why didn't Joshua dirty box like how he did in like the 5th round?
He couldn't even get close to him. He couldn't even get close to Usyk like that.
It's like the Lomachenko issue. It's like, why don't you hold him? Why don't you go like Orlando Salido and go low? It's like, yeah, you would if you could, but he's getting to your side.
funny with that. Okay, we can get into a little bit of fighting now. We have like 3 minutes left for this, but for me, initially, I was like, why isn't Joshua pumping that jab like crazy? And then I rewatched it, and in that first round, he's pumping the jab. The problem is
Usyk keeps countering him with a check right?
his head movement and then counters were so on point that there was no point. Like he literally abandoned it by the second round. He was like, "No, I'm not gonna do like the length game because it's not working." I think what really worked was when Joshua started going to the body, around like the 5th and 6th round. But the problem is you then move to the 7th round and Usyk starts going to the body. And Joshua, it's kind of like he changes. Usyk changed his game plan like in the middle of the fight, and that gave Joshua a lot of problems. So,
all right, real quick, what's wrong with Joshua?
I'm telling you, kryptonite. His kryptonite is speedier, smaller guys. Like you see him against Klitschko, and he's giving Klitschko all he can handle, who is still competitive. And then you see him against like the bigger, like Pulev and Parker and a lot of these bigger guys. And Joshua looks like a world beater because he can show off the technique and the skills and the speed a little bit. But when you're facing a speed guy, it's almost like he wants to go speed for speed with them, and it just doesn't work like that, man. And so I think his kryptonite is just the smaller, speedier heavyweight. And Ruiz.
But also, no disrespect to Joshua also on this, but I also feel like in this fight there was a clear like technical skill gap. Like you get the speed. Speed was definitely a big factor, but like the head movement of Usyk versus like Joshua was incomparable. The way like Usyk was mixing up his strikes, like Joshua wasn't really doing that. So I really feel like that technical element, like he kind of got exposed for want of a better word, and that's not to say Joshua's
one of the best fundamental guys I've ever seen in my life. Like period.
Joshua's last fight against Kubrat Pulev, Joshua looked good, but here it looked like he went back to that roboticness that he had against like in his earlier career.
The problem is like he couldn't touch Usyk, and Usyk was doing a good job of like feigning, moving side to side, cutting angles. His in and out movement was excellent, and I feel like that.
If that was me and I had Joshua's size, I would have just like keep coming forward, like try and be imposing, cut off the ring, like really like at least I feel like if I'm Joshua's size. But
Jeremy, this is the problem. Usyk kept going to his blind side.
I feel like if we mix it up, I'm gonna come out with the more heavier punches in the middle of those exchanges. If I force him to mix it up,
Jeremy, what happens when Usyk hits you with a left you didn't see coming off of your blind side?
Yeah, that was
like you know what I'm trying to say. Like it's not that simple.
That straight left, like from the first round, he got him like 2 or 3 times in the first round, 2 or 3 times in the second round. The first 4 rounds were completely domination from Usyk, and I think like that's what kind of shell shocked Joshua into like fighting a little bit, as you said, more robotic, not moving around. To be fair, Joshua did like some good things. His body work was good for a while. He did kind of like the harder shots.
I'm thinking like these heavyweights' feet, they move a little slower. So,
but not Usyk though. Like Usyk's feet were. Like his feet were amazing. Like he literally looked like Lomachenko in there. Yeah. Like when it came to like his in and out movement, it was actually like eye opening how good it is. And I just rewatched it on like 1.5 speed, and like Usyk literally looks like, you would think he's like a lightweight or something. Like the way he's moving, like
does Usyk beat Fury or Wilder?
No.
Wait, David, 1.5 speed. So you sped it up?
Yeah. I sped it up.
Why were you watching the fight sped up?
Oh, because I wanted to watch it in time for this, like the second time. I wanted
to watch it twice.
Yeah, just to make sure I knew what I was talking about, because I was kind of messed up for the first one. Well, the first time I watched it and was so emotional. This time I was like, okay, let's see what happened.
You know why? Because Joshua, I get it. Joshua's story is something that like a lot of people, especially a lot of people of my race, and even just like experience can relate to.
Ghanaians?
He's Nigerian. Let's go. Half Nigerian, half Jamaican.
He is of West African descent. But
No
even
way. I
still,
didn't-
like a lot of people even don't realize this, is that Joshua, despite being from South London, always spoke the way he spoke. And so you best believe he got a lot of, you speak so articulately. Oh, you're a white guy. You know what I'm saying? And that's something I can relate to. So I get the idea of having emotion and skin in the game with a guy like Joshua. But, you know, unfortunately, Usyk was the better fighter. So
Yeah, he was a better
that's all I
fighter.
gotta say.
I can't wait for the rematch. I think Joshua will have a different game plan in the rematch, and I actually kind of favor his chances, despite what we just saw. I favor his chances. There were some rounds he was kind of competitive. So we'll see. And honestly, I thought 7 was kind of a swing roundish until, like, you know, like I saw like some of the highlights, and I'm like, okay, no, this guy actually kind of got rocked. I think if he can stop that straight left, if he can find Usyk's head from with the movement, then he's probably gonna have a better fight. Maybe, and maybe that's why it looked slow. Maybe he was just trying to be more patient so that he could actually land and be accurate. Because as Michael said before the pod, volume guys give him a lot of trouble. And Usyk's, you know, he wasn't like crazy like flurries or anything, but like he was teeing off on him. You know what I mean? Like he was picking him apart.
Things are paralyzing too, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
anyway.
at first glance, like day after, I don't think Joshua bounces back from this, but who knows? It's boxing. Maybe something will change. Maybe something will spark in him. But immediately, I think Joshua just stays at that gatekeeper kind of.
Okay, I think we should definitely move on before Stefano falls asleep. I think
Yeah.
I just saw him visibly gone.
All right.
So,
all right, everybody.
Mike, do you guys hear that?
Is that a track?
It's a transition.
Transition.
Ding, ding.
All right, boys. What a night of fights, eh?
What a night of fights.
Right.
From top to bottom, for the most part, this card was the good stuff. It was juicy. You know, it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine.
Oh,
Salt and
God.
Pepper in the Limousine.
This guy goes to New York once, all of a sudden quoting Biggie. Oh my God,
It's
jeez.
funny, they actually have Budweiser cans with Notorious B.I.G. on them. Why, I don't know. Maybe it's the anniversary of his death coming up.
Maybe.
Think about it. Anyways, why don't we get started with the main event, guys?
Yes.
May I
What fight?
may I take the lead on this one? Fine,
Sure.
Jeff.
Sir.
I think that I underrated Ortega's chances, given that I thought the only sphere I gave him, you know, command over was on the mat, and I don't rate his wrestling highly. But my God, what started off as a measured and technical performance from Volkanovski, punishing the inside leg and then just constantly checking the space, making sure he was outside or inside of Ortega's lead foot at all times, and making sure that he was a disciplined distance between him and Ortega, just turned into an absolute dogfight. When he thought he had Ortega on the ropes, he went to the body and back upstairs, and with ferocity, at risk of being put in clinches. And man, in that third and fourth round, it nearly cost him. That guillotine was tight. Guys, I think we are looking at an absolute masterpiece, partially owing to the fact that Brian Ortega is just so damn tough.
Wait, okay, so I actually wrote some notes for this, and quite a few notes for this, because of the fight. Okay, so my first question was, is there anyone, seriously, I know I've asked this before, but is there anyone in the UFC that feints as well as Oleksandr Volkanovski? Just legitimately.
If it's not him, it's Adesanya. It's like
It's a city kickboxing thing, I guess.
I mean, yeah, Ortega was biting on quite a few feints
from the first round, and it's like he does it in a way like he drops the levels. He fakes the level change, and he either follows, you know, with a kick, as he said, to the inside leg or the outside leg, an overhand, or he swings that hook. I felt like that was giving Ortega issues from literally the first minute of the fight. And even watching some of Volkanovski's older fights, like just the way for a guy who's incredibly undersized in that division, like the way he moves, it's almost like he's the one fighting from the outside, which is incredible. You know what I mean?
That's
Yeah,
what, you know,
he's
I
fighting. Not
always
only is
say
he fight.
this- Sorry, go ahead. No, Stefano.
Oh, just quickly, I was just going to say, not only is he's fighting from the outside, but he's fighting literally just outside of kicking range. When he's at his best, he's just outside of the range, and his command of range is perfect. He'll take a step in and just punish that inside leg, and then immediately he's on his bicycle, and he's just denying you exchanges until you start rushing in, and that's when he starts going low to the body and back upstairs.
And he can hit you hard too. But
Yeah.
see, I always explain this. I think I'm a broken record, but shorter fighters, take a look at this. You don't have to take 80 shots on the way in to be effective, right? You can do it another way. You can do it another way.
A
Right?
different choice of weapons, but a performance very reflective of a lot of what Senchai does. Staying on the end of range and countering when they come in, and then at times choosing to blitz, at times choosing to come all the way in on your opponent when they get frustrated with that range.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. Another thing that was absolutely money the entire fight was kind of his blitzing jab, and he switches so much like you can't really tell where it's coming from. So I think like that gave Ortega a lot of problems because you couldn't tell whether he's feinting, whether he's faking, the body lock, or like whether he's actually going to like jab you and punch your lights out. And sometimes, as I said, he would follow with like just a straight overhand, which I thought was giving Ortega a lot of problems. But I did want to say also, Ortega did a really good job, I felt, in the first round of jamming Volkanovski when he tried to blitz in. And I also thought like Ortega did a pretty decent job in that first couple of rounds of checking leg kicks, which is something like a lot of people can't do. And after a while, he kind of picked up on the rhythm of the leg kicks. So like, whether it was inside or outside, Ortega did a good job with that. And ironically, by round 2, Ortega was the one who was landing the strong leg kicks, if you remember. Even though Volkanovski was definitely still tagging him and messing them up, like I thought like Ortega did a good job of countering with the legs. And also he had like good boxing, like pretty decent boxing, I would say. Which gave Volkanovski a little bit of issue, not too much, but it gave a little bit.
I gotta say, a lot of people were asking who I thought were gonna win this fight. As people do because they know you run it. You do an MMA podcast. They ask you questions, and I said Ortega on the feet was gonna get fucked up. Like I really thought Ortega didn't have a shot, like doing anything. But he impressed me with a lot of things he did, and so I gotta say he's some crow.
No, he's actually improved from like the Holloway fight where it literally looked like, one of you guys beating me up in the gym, and to this fight where at spots it looked kind of competitive. You know what I mean?
It did.
And I actually feel like, in my humble opinion, the reason, he didn't, this is one of my later thoughts.
Zombie fight gave him some confidence on the feet. The Korean zombie fight might give him confidence on the feet.
And you know what's funny? He didn't shoot in for like the takedown, which ended up, in the guillotine and with the switch to the triangle, which was nasty, by the way. But he did that by catching Volkanovski's kick and punching him square in the chin, which caused Volkanovski to stumble. And then the speed that he jumps on the guillotine, I'm not sure I've seen.
We got to talk about that.
I'm not sure anybody latch onto that.
What is his arteries made of? Like iron, steel? Like what? How do you not sleep?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, whatever his arteries are made of are the same thing his will is made of, because that guillotine would have felled many lesser men.
And he goes to the same supplement store as what's the name? Valdez.
Here we go.
But anyways,
I don't mean I said that tongue in cheek. Volkanovski, I'm not trying to besmirch your name.
I'm sure did listening.
I felt like Volkanovski, the way that Ortega controlled like Volkanovski's legs like from the get-go with that guillotine was also super impressive. It was almost like a spider, or like a monkey or something like that. Like it was incredible. And Volkanovski does a good job in, wriggling himself out of that. And for some reason, in my humble opinion, I think Volkanovski didn't really respect the jiu-jitsu, or not, let me not say respect the jiu-jitsu, but I felt like he felt so comfy in the fight that he was very comfortable going to the ground and staying on the ground.
I think what City Kickboxing does is, and I've heard Sonya say this, is they turn guys almost into willing grapplers. So not necessarily to be afraid that, oh crap, this wrestler just took me down. What am I going to do? But when you're down, be confident that you can get back up, or, do things to hold your own there. And I think that was kind of the issue. Like, not issue, but...
And that's the thing. Like, we're talking an Ortega that was able to put on 2 very close submission attempts, including the second triangle, which I thought, oh my God, he's blown his shot. He should have reemerged to the feet when he had the chance, scrambled up, instead of taking advantage of that position. That was with 2 eyes basically completely closed. That was when he had been battered and absorbed 4 rounds of punishment. And let's not forget, I mean, Volkanovski nearly got that finish at the end of that 4th round, standing above the guard.
Was it the 3rd round?
That was the 4th round. That was the 4th round. Like, literally, I thought Herb Dean waved off the fight. The camera panned away from him. I'm like, someone's got to call this fight off. He's going to die. He was literally hoisted up to his stool, and Ortega's jiu-jitsu is an ace in the hole. It is an absolute atom bomb. But at the same time, let's give credit to just the control from full guard from Volkanovski to be able to make it out of those submission attempts and deal as much damage as he did. Also, let's give credit to 5th round Ortega, who was pushing the action right up until the end.
I thought, and this one, not that it matters, and who cares about my take, but I thought Ortega won that round, that 5th round.
I agree.
You might be right. You might be right.
Inconsequential in the end, but like the fact that, as you said, his eyes are shut, he's being brutalized the entire fight. I think Volkanovski maybe knew he was a little bit ahead. I thought he did a great job in that round, in round 5, and actually, did it mostly on the feet too. Like, he didn't go to his ace in the hole.
I'm saying, would you guys, if you were Herb Dean, would you have called it the way Ortega was looking after that round where he was laying on the ground for a while? I was like,
you know what?
I'm
going to change my mind because, yes, because it was bad, but no, because there was like 10 seconds left when the onslaught started to happen. And I remember doing the 10, 9, 8. Is Herb going to call it? 5, 4. Oh my God, if Herb call it 3, 2.
Like,
what? You got
that's
it.
The issue, though. The role of the referee. The referee is not aware of the clock at all.
He's not aware of the clock. But what I'm trying to say is it sounds weird what I'm about to say, and it sounds like I don't care for the fighter's safety when I say this, and I do. But when it's championship fight, you give everybody every reason to go out on their shield, right? Until
it's like 90, 95. Are you just saying just bleed, Mike? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that, but like,
you know what, David? I think he's ready to take his shirt off and start screaming till he's red in the face. I think he might have a painted "Just Bleed" thing on his shirt, under his shirt.
I'm going to take off my shirt. But what I'm trying to say is this: people have worked.
Female viewership skyrockets.
What I'm saying is this: Ortega's worked his entire life for this, right? If you hear the clap for 10 seconds. For me as a viewer, my heart would go out to him if they did wave it off at 2 seconds, at 1 second. Now, if it's a minute 30 and Volkanovski's doing that, that's
I don't think it matters as a ref. I think as a referee, you're in there to ensure fighter safety. That's it. Fighter safety and enforcement of the rules. You're not there to think about, so-and-so's worked very hard for this. What's the potential impact for their career, because this is a title fight. As a referee, I think your role is fighter safety. That's it. Simple.
But that's not the question. The question is, Jeremy's asking me, like, if would I feel the need to wave it off in my current position? I'm like,
I'm saying referee is a fighter
safety.
The
beginning of the 4th round or the 3rd round when Herb Dean had to ask him 5 times, walk to me, walk this way.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. You have waved it off.
Oh, okay.
In that instance, that's the time where I was like, yo, he doesn't look like
And you know
he
what's funny?
go on.
You know what's funny is like, just hopping on Michael's point, even though there was 10 seconds to go, and to be fair, he was still kind of moving by the end of that round 3. He was out. He couldn't stand up. If I saw that as a referee, like, I'm calling, like,
I think, I agree. I think as a referee, you have to, can this fighter intelligently defend himself? And the man might be an absolute zombie like Brian Ortega, who can come back and mount meaningful offense in the 5th round. I don't think it matters as much. If somebody's in that position, you stop the fight, right?
Yeah, and I was actually listening to Volkanovski's post-fight interview, and he said that he felt like they gave him an extra minute by doing the tests, and he got all the answers wrong in the test that the referee was giving him.
You know what? It's another Peter Yan syndrome where you say things because you really want to believe like the other side of delusion. No, he did not. I heard the broadcast.
I think all the answers wrong, but I do think they gave him an extra. Like they gave him
time.
A lot
They
of time
extra
to
time.
recover.
But like I heard the broadcast, he answered every question right. He said 1 for 1 finger, 3 for 3 fingers. He walked forward. He did everything right.
Yeah, after 2 seconds of walk forward, he's like, what? Oh yeah, okay.
Well, when you hear a crowd going, yeah, like people like,
man, shut up, man. Shut up.
Yeah, I'm with Jeremy. I'm with Jeremy.
Fine, do me a favor. Right now,
what is this like and feeling the need to fellatiate her being?
I'm going to ask you 5 questions right now. You're not going to be able to do it as effectively as you think. So,
Mike, I'm going to ask you one question right now. If Herb was in this room, would you suck his dick?
No. My point is
first the Dan Hardy thing, now this.
Oh my God! My point is this idea that guys haven't like they're doing physical activity. Can you to be able to respond effectively, clearly in like split seconds to walk forward while a crowd is yelling, holy shit, oh my God, ah. And he's saying walk forward.
Mike, it's me. Mike.
You can genuinely not hear him. You can genuinely not hear him.
Wait, hold on, right? Mike, I think I hear something. Hold on. Do you hear that? Mike, it's me. It's your old friend Herb Dean. Thanks for being real nice to me on the leg kick. I've got a wad full of cash here, and I'll suck your dick later, like we promised. If you keep being nice to me.
I thought you were talking about.
My point is
Michael's point. I get Michael's point because I do feel like he was intelligible enough. Well, first of all, he did answer the questions correctly, and he was intelligible enough to continue. But I also think that I was super messed up. That end of round 3, he was out. Like, I don't care what anybody says, he was out.
Mike could be looking at one fighter just like punching a pool of blood and organs and skin on the floor, and he'd be like, wow, Herb Dean had no way of knowing he'd been deceased for 15 years. Like,
give him a shot. That's not what it's
a title fight. You gotta give him a shot to come back from the dead.
Let it go out on his shield.
No, hold on. I literally just agree with everyone. Understand what I'm about to say, because here's what's gonna happen. Someone's gonna come to me on the bus and be like, yo, they completely missed your point. Like what happens every other time. Understand what I'm trying to say. I'm saying
Mike is mad.
Because I have to field these questions to people. Like people always come to me for whatever reason. I have to field these questions, so understand what I'm about to say.
Sticking up for me, man.
Right? What I'm about to say.
I know you don't smoke weed, but I got a marijuana plant for you.
Oh God. Okay.
You can always make
next fight.
Wait, hold on. I also wanted to say just one quick thing. In between fights, they kept saying this, and I'm not a coach. I'm not an MMA fighter, so I really don't know. But please, Ortega's coaches. They should not have been asking him to shoot for the blast double. Like, no.
Why not?
Ortega shooting for the blast double on Volkanovski, who's ground and pounding him into the dirt? No.
I think it was his only meaningful chance to win at certain points in the fight was an exchange on the ground. Plus,
it was better to keep it on the feet.
Create some sort of scramble. Yeah, why not create some sort of scramble?
I mean, if you can end up in top position, I think it's a much different fight from Volkanovski on top of you, right?
I think Volkanovski has some of the best wrestling defense in the division. So, like, And
Ortega took him down, though. Ortega took him down. Remember that inside trip?
Okay.
Ortega took him down on several occasions. He did. Volkanovski was able to scramble, but his closest to finishing the fight was in ground exchanges, and there were takedowns, which surprised me. I forgot about that inside trip. That's my favorite takedown. How did I forget that?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't remember the inside trip, but
that's how he initiated the second triangle, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, think about it this way.
No. That was how he initiated the Dars. Sorry, the Dars.
I'm not trying to. This is not in defense of Herb Dean's like shitty performance, but what I will say is that in recent memory. Can you guys think of an Ortega fight, except for the Korean Zombie one and the Clay Guida fight, maybe the Diego Brandao fight, in which he wasn't getting the break speed off him and won by a come from behind victory? Oh, Frankie Edgar.
Even the Frankie Edgar one, like it was like Frankie Edgar was starting to roll on him a little bit.
That's true. So can you think of any other fights? I can't. Cub Swanson, Moicano.
No. You know, he was getting his ass kicked in pretty much every other fight. Like.
I forgot that was something that he had in his back pocket. But if you guys want to roll, by the way, that walkout by Brian Ortega, I'm not gonna lie, it was corny. I liked it though. I appreciated it. I apprecited the
mass and the
cool. The 14-year-old in me appreciated it.
Yeah. You know. All right, next fight, because like we got to kind of go through these a little bit here.
Hey, was this not the most Valentina performance of all? A long, drawn-out, boring fight where she threw the same combination, that cross, left, lead right hook, left cross, and then occasionally the outside kick when Murphy flew out of range. Large portions of the fight were inactivity. The occasional takedown, and then finally an emphatic finish. This is the most Valentina fight of all time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the only thing that would have been like more Valentina would be like a head kick finish, honestly. Like I was waiting for it because
she nearly got. She
kept setting up like the leg kick, the body kick. I felt like the head kick was coming anytime like soon. But you know what? Credit to Lauren Murphy. She was tough. She took a lot of beating. Valentina did not respect her ground game at all, with all due respect. And I think like they kept saying Lauren Murphy is like one of the best Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners in the division.
No.
That was domination.
They'll say all kinds of things on that broadcast team.
I'm pretty sure they said she was a jiu-jitsu brown belt, but that was pretty much, I don't know, maybe I'm tripping. Like that was it. That's all I heard. But I think, you know what the problem is that like girls, Valentina has such power. Girls are like by the first minute of the first round, they're out to lunch. They're like, okay, let me just get through the fight. You know what I'm saying? And they just stay at just outside kicking range, and they're like, I'm safe here, and I'm not throwing anything. Because this is, besides the Jessica Eye fight, this is the second fight where, you know, it was that one and then the one before the Jennifer Maia one, where women just kind of say, all right, I'm safe here. The clock's ending when? Okay, I'm done. It's
very rude, Mike. Very rude. I feel
I'm not saying as a rude thing, because like Manny Pacquiao had a run where it was like that for other guys. He'd mess guys up in like the first 2 rounds, and by round 4 they were done. They did not want any.
I agree with you to a certain degree. I do feel like Lauren Murphy literally just had nothing on offense for Valentina. I feel like she tried for like the first like bit of the first round, and then just realized like no, like I'm gonna get countered to absolute
That's what I'm
shit.
saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Credit to Valentina. She does keep a lot of fighters in this loop, and she's very successful in forcing fighters into this very specific set of problems that they seem to be unable to get out of. She constantly is just checking the distance, making sure the distance between her lead foot and her opponent's lead foot is such that it's awkward for them to close it. When their opponent tries to come forward, they're often met with a cross because she's diligent in maintaining that outside foot position. And when her opponent just stands, she's faster at them at closing the distance. And she hits that same combination that lead hook straight. And if they back out of range and she misses the punches, she's kicking the leg, right?
Yeah.
If they try and counter, she's back out of range. And it's a cycle that takes place over rounds and rounds and rounds until she finds her finish, right? She'll throw in the odd body kick and head kick if she finds like it's there, or a jab to constantly check the distance, but it's largely the same thing. She'll get into clinch range, use body locks, and she's managed to keep every woman in the division in this cycle that she's just stirs the pot until she can produce that finish. And at this point, she's beginning to look like the ringer in the Special Olympics, like she's just doing laps around her competition.
I don't even know about that, but I feel like, I feel like, there was a really clear skill gap on this one. And what was funny for me was in the first round, she kind of like stamped it, like sealed, kind of like, okay, I'm going to win this fight by taking Lauren Murphy down. That's like, I think she landed a trip of some sort, because definitely wasn't like a blast double or anything, or even like a single leg. So she's the most well-rounded female fighter, I would say. That was something that they kept saying on the...
I thought you were going to go into the Valentina copy pasta. She's the most well-rounded human being.
Hilarious. Yeah, no, hey, she
can do everything. She's a spy.
She could be the CEO of any major corporation. She speaks 4 languages.
Some guy in the post-fight literally was like, I heard that when you retire, you're going to be a translator for the UN. I'm like, guys, come on. What are we doing here? What are we doing
here? The problem is I blame Ben Askren. Because when he was like, oh, she's a spy. She can do all these things. And then he pulls up the video of her doing the Grease Lightning dance with her dance partner. And it's like, yeah, he's already created the call of Valentina.
You know what's funny? You know that Valentina copy pasta that everyone says? Somebody paid on Cameo for Jessica I to read it. Oh my God, she was a good sport about it.
Oh man. You know what? That's one of the few times I'll give Jessica I credit.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to do in this division. Things can change at any minute. Meaningful contenders can move up, so we'll have to see what happens. But
she's just gonna keep picking, whoever's on a winning streak, however small the winning streak is, and just beating them up. No disrespect to any of the women.
This woman has 2 fights winning streak. I don't care if she doesn't know what a jab is. Let's get her in and make millions.
That was actually a good Valentina impression.
Valentina is nice, bro.
So, I think we can move on from Valentina for now.
Guys, let's try to rapid fire through these next ones till we get to Merab, because I really want to talk about Merab.
I want to talk about Merab too. That was my low-key fight of the night that I enjoyed. But what do we have next? We have Curtis Blades versus Rosenstruik.
No, Diaz.
Oh,
I have a lot of notes on this.
This was a sad performance, and an even sadder post-fight interview. Robbie Lawler just came out and Nick Diaz. He, man.
Although I could have done without the bobbing and weaving and getting frozen for wow.
I mean, Diaz was just backing himself up to the cage, squaring his stance, and throwing these weird Wing Chun punches. It was uncomfortable, man. And the way in which this fight ended was even more uncomfortable. It just looked like.
I think that's a weird. I'm not gonna say weird take, but that's a different take than I had, because I actually thought for stretches of this fight, Diaz looked okay. Like, he wasn't landing with any conviction at all, but he was definitely keeping Robbie Lawler, honest on his defense. I thought, he did land, some decent shots. His boxing didn't look that bad to me.
Slow as molasses.
Slow as hell. But he was almost doing it on purpose. And, by the second round, he'd, double the amount of strikes than Robbie Lawler. So he wasn't. His volume was good. The problem was he was just so slow, and his movement on his feet was non-existent. And I just wanted to also say he came out with that weird spinning back kick. What in the world?
It's in my Taekwondo school, they call that a tornado kick. Except it was done way worse than most.
It was so slow. Lawler literally just took a step back and just watched him fall on the floor. I'm what is going on? But
I ask Mike a question. Sorry, you first. Finish.
No, I was gonna say Diaz had some good boxing round 1, good volume. I would have given, I could see a world where you could maybe see Diaz winning, but I had it for Robbie, but just. Another question I had: why was this 5 rounds? Like, why? Like,
because that's usually where the Diaz's excel, and that's fourth and fifth.
Yeah. In Diaz in classic, as he was like a 5-round fighter, in the fullest sense of the word, like someone who would just roll on you like a tidal wave, right? But it was very clear that this was a very different Nick Diaz. Somebody who, my big question coming into this was, is he going to come into shape? How ready is he going to look? How good is he going to look compared to the Diaz of old? And Mike, I think you can confirm this. I wanted to ask you this as somebody who was an MMA fan back when Nick Diaz was maybe not in his prime, but certainly in his heyday. Do you think that Nick Diaz style has aged poorly, not just because of inactivity and who knows what he was doing those 6 years, but also because I feel like a large part of the defense of Nick Diaz was simply swarming and keeping other people on defense, maintaining offense so that he could keep other people on defense. Like I didn't see any sophisticated defense in this fight.
No, he definitely just kept his hands up. He definitely just kept his hands up. But I do feel like, you know what? Yeah, exactly what you said. His volume was good, and that's what slowed Lawler down. But yeah. Sorry.
Okay, this is gonna sound a weird comparison, but I feel like the evolved version of Nate Diaz is Colby Covington in a weird way. Let me explain.
Oh Lord.
What does Colby Covington do really well on the feet? He rolls you over with pressure and volume, right? Now he also pairs that with a very good wrestling game, and so if you try to attack and he feels uncomfortable at any point, he can go down. But I don't see Colby Covington having any sort of intelligent fundamental defense besides a pull and get hit in the face. So I don't necessarily think it's a question of age poorly, but I do think it does take a lot of athleticism to do that kind of style, right? The second your cardio dips, the second, your chin deteriorates, the second, you get what I'm trying to say? The second your body can't really go anymore, can you really rely on that kind of style to go when you're 38, 39, 40? You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's not a style that ages well. Technically, defense-based fighters tend to be the ones that age a lot better.
Robbie Lawler looked like vintage. I mean, definitely put a caveat that this was not the best Nick Diaz that's ever fought, for sure. But Robbie Lawler looked like vintage Robbie Lawler, man. He looked like quicker. He looked, his head movement was really good. He's actually older than Nick Diaz. Just let that sink in. By a year, but still, like they didn't look in the same category of athleticism. With all due respect,
how sad was that post-fight interview? Poor guy couldn't even call. And he wasn't the most articulate guy to begin with, but poor guy couldn't even cobble a sentence together.
But you know what I gotta say though, he never really could.
Mike, it was never that bad.
It was never that bad. It was never that bad. But
compare that to the whole speech in the press conference. They're selling you guys wolf tickets. That whole speech, compare the two. It's indistinguishable. He literally could not finish a sentence. It was tragic. And to me, the stoppage was a case of, Nick Diaz of old might have fought through that. This Nick Diaz was like, do I really want to be here?
Right, I try to explain that to people is that a lot of people were like, oh, Diaz in a lot of those pre-fight interviews with ESPN and such. Oh, that's always how Nick Diaz is. I'm like, no, no. That's not him. He doesn't talk about openly not wanting to fight a fight like that. He's a lot more dismissive, sure, but he's not like that. That's a guy who feels like he doesn't want to get in there, right? So.
And I don't want us to be insulting of Nick Diaz because he's had a storied career and legacy, and it's just this man is clearly at the end of his rope and has been through some stuff, and it's sad. It's sad.
Yeah,
it was pretty sad to watch. It was pretty sad to watch. Okay, do you want to move on?
Yeah. Let's rapid fire through these because I do really want to spend some time on Marab, but I gotta go soon.
Curtis Blade's looking good.
Yeah, I like Curtis Blade's performance here.
On a smart fight.
It's zero wrestling defense, but I mean that's to be expected for a kickboxer. No disrespect.
A man who was grounded by Junior Albini.
I thought Rosenstruck did well to like stand up a couple of times. I thought like that was pretty impressive. Like he's clearly been like drilling that, but unfortunately,
He's working with King Mo apparently, but I heard that. But
Rosenstruck did land one pretty good like jumping knee when Curtis Blades kind of like dipped in for the takedown, which against a different fighter that would have worked and that would have been good night, but it shut.
Blades' eye looked horrendous after.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. It really fucked his eye up. But he still like kind of toughed it out. Still got the takedown, which is pretty hilarious. Like literally 5 seconds later.
As someone who's broken their orbital bone before, that could possibly be a broken orbital. But
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I say though. If there's any criticism on Curtis Blades' part, he still seems to not have an eye for the timing of that takedown. It just kind of seems like he kind of rushes it in. But
yeah, it's not as connected to his wrestling as I would like, and that's what I think got him caught with that knee. What I will say is he was a little bit too bouncy in the early first round, and I think that's what wore him out in the second a little bit. But I think he did a good job of just putting that lead foot in and out of range just to draw out the counters of Rosenstruck, knowing that this is someone who doesn't really function well on offense. As he started to get a little more flat-footed, Rosenstruck was able to land that patented left hook of his. But Blades really able to bounce in and out of range in a way that avoided him getting hit. Guys, I think I actually have to get going at this moment, but it was a pleasure.
All right. Yeah, I got a rapid fire 3d6 too.
But I was also just gonna add that I actually thought Blades' stand-up looked okay. He's improved a lot, and he was throwing some feints in there too, which is really, really good to see. So yeah, shout out to him.
Hands are looking good. Thank
you.
Cynthia Calvillo versus.
Bye guys, love you.
Not much time to spend on this. The drill. Jessica Andrade was playing all the hits.
Yeah.
Like.
Put the beats on her.
Yeah, right. It really shows you how good Jessica Andrade is in relative to like girls who aren't generational talents.
Similar to Curtis Blades, it's kind of just like she's good against even like top division, like top of the division, but when you start getting to like the real peaks, like then
the all-time greats, it's like
then it's a little bit sketchy.
Yeah. But yeah, like other than that, like I want to give Dan Hooker his props too before we talk about Murat, because Dan Hooker, if you don't know, was having all kinds of visa issues. Finally, after going on Twitter and begging for a visa, gets it Thursday morning, travels across the globe he gets there finally Thursday night after traveling across the globe from New Zealand to Texas and cuts weight. And so I gotta say this because I hate to be a guy who gloats, but this is what I'm talking about when I say make.
Oh, Mike, don't do this. Don't do this.
Yes, I'm doing this. I'm doing this because this is what I'm talking about because. It's about
Mike, you've missed weight almost.
No, I haven't.
Almost. Like you hated your last weight cut.
My last weight cut, I hated. I did hate it.
Exactly.
But like, they told me I get 2 pounds
after the cut, you were like, I'm gonna stop giving fighters shit for missing weight.
No. I did not say that. I did not say that.
You felt like that's a vibe I got from you.
No. Because the reason why I stopped is because they gave me a 2 pound allowance rather than usually a 1 pound. Because in Montreal they have a rule that if you're if you're 180, they only care about the number before the decibel. So they're like, okay, you get to 187. So I was like, okay, cool. I was 186.6. Okay, I'm gonna take it. Like, what do you want me to do? I did say before the weight cut, I'm gonna try and make championship weight though. I did say that, and I didn't. So I guess I didn't miss.
Just give Dan Hooker props, man. We can leave it there.
No, it's professionalism. Make the way, okay? Let me be. I'm kidding. Okay, but no, but you know what? I gotta seriously give him like the will for him to be able to, the will to want to fight, to like the visa stuff is really impressive, and then to make the weight was really impressive. And to win too was really impressive. So I gotta give him all his credit in the world. And you know, that's not to say that Nasrat didn't have a fun time getting over to the country either. He had some issues too. So credit to both these guys for doing that. Now, Merab's the best fighter in the 135 division, is he not?
Honestly, this is why I want to say earlier. I think Merab is realistically the only person I could see giving Peter Yan like a good run for his money. Because like he's so tough. Like Peter Yan's a great boxer, Merab not so much. But still, like just when you have that ace in the hole like wrestling game that he has and his ground and pound, it looked like Volkanovski's ground and pound. It looked vicious. I mean, maybe not as vicious, honestly, but it was like consistent and persistent, I should say. So yeah, I thought he looked great. I'm gonna be honest, similar to as we were talking about earlier, there might have been places like in a different kind of fight where they might have stopped it in that first round when he got hurt. He did well to like recover but like he was literally like turning his back, like sprinting in the other direction, which is not something you see very often in a UFC fight. So
I've seen Overeem do it when he feels like he's in danger a couple times. I've seen McGregor do it once against Diaz, the second fight. And I even saw Nick Diaz do it a little bit against Robbie Lawler. Guys, it's you're running to a spot you feel comfortable. So I won't give him too much grief on that. What I will give him grief on that is his boxing really ain't that great, ain't it?
But I mean, it was like functional. The problem is like it's functional to set up his takedowns. You know what I mean? And I feel like maybe he got a little comfy with Marlon Moraes because Moraes like just clocked him like with.
Moraes is still a killer.
Earlier too, there was like a slip to a left hook that he landed was money, and literally like 10 seconds later he lands the same left hook and clocks him, while like Merab is trying to like step in too. So yeah, no, it was a good fight. Moraes, I mean, what can we say? I know that Dvalishvili really is, you know, a generational talent when it comes to wrestling, but man, like, how many chances is this guy gonna get? With all due respect, because he is a great fighter on the feet, but on the ground, as soon as somebody hurts him and puts him on the ground, like he cannot come back like at all.
It's just a decline. It's a shame because when he was at PFL with, you know, I hate to say it, no pun intended, he was magic. But yeah, he was really good, and he even was on a run when he came over to UFC.
I know he looked great.
But unfortunately, the problem is that you know the Father Time catches up with a lot of people in weird ways.
Well, I just feel like not everybody's Jose Aldo. Not everyone's gonna do like a technical kickboxing. If it was a technical kickboxing fight, then we'd be having a different conversation here. But it's in like an MMA fight, and you know, I just haven't.
It also helps that Jose Aldo has probably the best takedown defense of all time. Like probably. It's like him and John Jones. They're like one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't have that takedown defense that Jose Aldo has, and I think like that's the main difference because he has the speed, he has the hands, he has the kicking. Like he's technical with it, but like
it's ironic because technically speaking, Marlon Moraes does have a victory over Jose Aldo.
Yeah, which we've already said was like sketchy, and I remember that fight, and it was really close, like really like razor close. But I don't know, like I just feel bad for him because I'm pretty sure that's like 3 in a row now. I wouldn't say he's worth getting cut, but like, yeah, I mean, nah, man, he's too good.
I'm kidding.
Good to be cut.
Man, no, there's a lot of players on this roster that, you know, for whatever reason, Dana White likes, and I think it's just because strength of competition, contacts, things of that nature. But yeah, well, I'm pretty much ready to end the show.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right.
We got kids right off the bat.
Yeah, go ahead. Brad McChildren.
Listen, you snot nose mother.
Oh, are you talking to me, Jeremy? I told you it's a condition.
What? Whoa, man, I don't get the joke.
Because he's sniffling a lot.
I'm sniffling.
Oh, no, I'm talking about these little kids out there. You said threatening the children.
Yes, threaten the children quicker, because I gotta go. Hurry up.
Listen, guys. If you do not subscribe to the Leg Kick, we are going to dress you up like Michael so you could be ridiculed in your schools. That's it.
Yeah.
In this crazy mixed up world where Jeremy tried and failed to land a joke, just remember, you got three things. You got life, you got family, and you got this podcast. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace out, guys.